Okay. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the second. Welcome to the second session. We have Peter Vanheck from CQ, Central Queensland University, with us. Peter's in charge of a lot of things, including data centers in his portfolio. And he's going to talk about CyberHeroes, winning hearts and minds. And I'm looking forward to this because, you know what, I have the last 2 days have been at this conference. I think people who work in security are really our cyberheroes. So if you can just put your hands together for Peter. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Hello, everybody. Firstly, let me say thank you for coming along. There's some really good streams on in this session. So I'm very appreciative that you've come along to join in and listen to some of the stories around CyberHeroes. So we might get started. I have to put this slide up. This is some marketing from our comms people. Tells you a bit about the university. With that said, I can move on. Look, this presentation is something of interest to me because I've lived this for the last 18 months or so, so it's something that I can really talk about, and we've learned a lot of things along the way. And it's really about raising the cyber awareness of an organisation. It's like taking a simple idea and turning that into something that can really engage and resonate and connect with staff. And of course, it is really about CyberHeroes, Lycra, and a bit of comedy along the way. So the first thing we really want to talk about is cyber awareness. Any person with a security role, any person, any organisation, any team that has that underlying focus already accepts that, you know, cyber awareness is part of what we do. It's the function that we do. So something happened, something triggered an event to change us to reconsider our approach. We did the typical things like most of people in this room, most people at this conference who do security every day. We send emails, we kind of did all that kind of thing. It's pretty innocuous at the start and simple. Our CIO received an invitation from council to come along and do a presentation. This happened towards the end of 2015. Not really sure why it took. This was the first time the council had actually asked the CIO to come and talk about cybersecurity. It had never happened before. Just a little segue here. For those of you who are not from university, don't have a university background, a council is equivalent to a board. A VC reports to a council, the same way a CEO would report to a board. So we thought, oh, this is a great opportunity for us. It kind of went a little bit like this, I think. My boss come to me. My office is a few doors down from the CEO, and he's a bit of an old school kind of CEO, and he yells down the hallway, "Vanheck, left, right, left, right." And what that means is he's got something that he wants to tell me, he wants me to get working on. So I go to his office and he says, "Look, I want you to put together a presentation. Here's some of the things that we want to put in there. We're going to the board in about 3 weeks' time. We've got an opportunity to talk about cybersecurity." So we did the typical things that you'd expect to see. We talked about the technologies that we use, that we've got developed, that are deployed to defend the university. We talked about the people that we have that do that. They're experienced, capable professionals. We talked about how we were developing an IT security culture within our division, right through from our desktop people all the way through to our developers. And then we sprinkled enough scary hacking stories in there. That's what AusCERT's great for, right? We'll come and get those and go back and tell our bosses so they'll keep the money going. So we sprinkled all that kind of in. That was our approach. We were ready to go. It looked really good and ready. And we thought, this will be it. This will be a really good opportunity for us. So the day arrives. We arrive 15 minutes early. Just to paint the picture for everybody, our council room is like a typical boardroom. Has, you know, timber tables, leather chairs, luxury appointments. Typical executive boardroom. As a waiting room, we're sitting outside in the waiting room 15 minutes early, and we're sitting there and going through the presentation in my mind with the CIO, and we're talking through some of the things, making sure we got our key messages on tack. And I say this to him, "You know what, I think we've got this wrong." Now, how many people know saying that to a CIO 10 minutes before a presentation to a council or a board is not a very good thing to do? So as you can imagine, I could see the steam coming, I could see the face colour changing, so been working with the CI for quite some time, picked up the signals, recovered quickly and said, you know what? Not quite what I mean. We can use our current presentation. We need to change the focus. One of the key messages. And I whipped out my iPad, never leave home without it, drew up this little diagram to show him what I meant. I said, look, in my mind I have this idea of a shield, a human firewall where we can get everybody engaged in security. This is too big for us to do. We look at the hacking that we have. We look at the things that are going on day to day. As I said, we're already doing everything we should be in terms of technology, training, development for our own people, and we're doing the best we can, and yet every week we're still seeing people clicking on links, bringing USB drives in, transporting stuff in with Dropbox or Cloud Store or one of the other ones. So that's all happening to us. What we really need to do is we need to change the way people, generally outside of the IT department, think about IT security. Security is everyone's responsibility. That was the message. That was the thing that we focused on. He calmed down, relaxed, and said, let's go with it. And so I guess just to keep cutting the short story, that story short, roll forward 3 weeks' time, meeting notes come out, no surprises. The CIO had a new KPI around delivering and raising cyber awareness. So that was a really good opportunity for us. So I knew right then and there that what we were doing in the past, emails, bashing people with policy, going cleaning up the mess afterwards, really wasn't going to wash. My CIO would not be wanting to take that in 12 months back to the council and say, look what we've done. That was never going to work. So we took the idea to pencil out some ideas about what we were thinking of, and this is what the statement we come up with. This was the thing that drove a significant change in our approach to cyber awareness. It was about finding a creative and innovative idea that would captivate and challenge people to make a real change in the way they act and thought about cybersecurity. So as we did that, it's a lot easier said than done. We're very good technically, IT departments. We're good at nuts and bolts and tin and stuff, not so good at creativity. Coming up with an original idea that looks and works and feels different. So look, we needed something that was different, something that was creative, something that was really simple, and something that made a difference to people, something that would resonate and connect with people that they could use and take away with. And believe me, we looked everywhere. We spent months looking. We were going to conferences. We were going online. Let's face it, we all live and die on Google, don't we? It was really like that proverbial needle in a haystack idea kind of thing of what we would do. And I think one of the things that made a real difference to me was we started looking outside of our department, outside of our team. How many people know that cybersecurity people are not that creative? So please don't be offended, because I'm one of those guys as well. So what we did is I had a conversation, it was a coffee conversation with an executive officer from our executive who was responsible for our operations and services. Had a coffee with her one day and I was talking about the idea, and she came up and she said, have you thought about making this bigger, getting people outside of out of your little, your little world, your little scope? And I said, look, I haven't, but what I really need is the most creative people I can get. And she said, why don't we actually flesh out? I'd like to be involved. This is an organisational-wide change management challenge. She is really good at that kind of stuff. It's why I went and bought her a coffee. And she said we went and talked to marketing. We went and talked to all the creative people around the town, and that's what that project team looked like. So we had no security people other than me on that team. We had no IT people other than me on that team, and all the rest were from the rest of the university. Unbeknown to me at the time, I thought this is going to be a train wreck, because I see how those people do projects. I was really quite anxious, but the buy-in by getting those people involved and them championing this simple cybersecurity message made a real difference to how successful our program was. So one of the first things we did, we went to marketing, had the team, invited marketing over. We said, look, we want to create an idea, we want to do something, we've got a communication project. First question marketing asked us, is this going to mean we'll have more students coming in? Are we looking at, is this going to improve our recruitment process? And we said, well, no, this is actually a staff program. This is about developing and growing cyber awareness with staff. They said, well, thank you very much for inviting us. We're not so interested. However, I would recommend you go and talk to this external marketing company. We have a contract with them and they may be able to help you out. We're too busy. They're only interested in recruitment. So we left. Thank you very much. Went over, got this external marketing company in, and quite a few $1,000s later, they come up with a marketing plan based on Cecil the octopus. Now, by the look on your face, you had exactly the same kind of reaction that I did. Now, some of the creatives in the team, yeah, kind of, all right, well, yeah, I can see how this might work, and I'm still thinking, this is not going to work. So we took this up to our executive sponsor and said, what do you reckon, boss, you think this is in the right place? And he said, forget it, go away, come back again. And that was the end of several $1,000s and Cecil the octopus. So this was one of the failures that we had along the way. So this is kind of the process that happened for us. This is what this project team went through. This took months to do. It's not something that we did around a coffee in a half an hour or anything. We started with Cecil. We've heard the story, background behind him, good learning. We moved to the idea of, okay, let's take this a bit further. Cecil gave us the idea because we were looking to do something with animated GIFs. So we wanted to look at producing some multimedia that was around animated GIFs and use some of the marketing attributes around that to develop and roll out into other things. So then we went to pop art because pop art gets people's attention. It's pretty cool. It's simple messages. You know, there's only 1 or 2 words in each one of the banners, so it kind of worked for us. We went to there and we started exploring what we could do with pop art. Then we come across, so we needed the messages. One of the briefs, they said, you need to tell us what kind of messages we want, and we'll tell you whether they're simple and basic enough for us. So our university has a subscription with a company, an online company called IT Leadership Exchange. I'm not sure if you've heard about them. They do everything in turn from strategy right through across the whole IT spectrum. Have a lot of good resources in there. This is not really a plug for them, but at the same time, they have a great section in there on cybersecurity, and they released 6 posters which fit the bill of exactly what I was looking for. And we taught around using their posters because the license that we have allows us to do that. But their messaging was so simple. It was literally one sentence. It would be like, don't click on emails, or some real plain language about selecting good passwords. So we use that. We use that to seed our ideas and feed into it. Then we come up, at the time the Avengers movie was released. Turns out that, would you believe, all the creative people I picked were big fans of the Avengers movie, so pop art kind of morphed into superheroes, and that's how we end up on superheroes. And that led us, because we couldn't actually, there's so many copyright things around any of the superhero characters in the world, you just can't do anything there. So it meant we had to develop our own. And this is how we come up with the CyberHeroes. So these are the CyberHeroes. These are the CQ University CyberHeroes. Now these people are all IT people. They work in our IT department. Actually, right now there's a CyberHero at this conference. He refused to come because he was worried I was going to point him out to the presentation, but he's definitely here. You will find him out there if you go looking hard enough, and you can get through his secret identity, of course. You may think it was really hard to convince these people to put on lycra and dress up like Power Rangers. Not at all. I dropped the idea. I thought I'd have to con people and twist their arms. I had no problem at all. I put the idea and they all said yes. So we've dressed them all up and turned them into CyberHeroes. And each one of these has an identity, a special identity. We give them really cool names. We've done an attribute list. We talk about their character, their profile. The thing that really sold it to the people within our organisation, these people are the people who are out talking to everyday people within our organisation. People in our organisation know these people by name. They ring them up, they talk to them, they work on projects, they work on problems. They're the same people. They really related and connected so well with these guys. Okay, so you have the idea. All right, we've done a lot of work. We've spent maybe 3 or 4 months to come up with the CyberHero idea. We knew we were onto something. Now, how do you get that rolled out? What do you need to do? What about some of the challenges you got from going from that idea to actually rolling it out and getting it in action? So I can see every single project manager in the room now cringing. But let me tell you, if you work with creative people, this is as best you get in terms of a project plan. So the pretty colours and all the lights and bells, that's what you get. And you know what? I could work with that because I was pretty excited. I could see the vision, I could see the end game from where we were going with the CyberHeroes. The only thing I can remember from the colours is the yellow. They were the nose from our executive sponsor. So we took the CyberHeroes, the idea, the concept, to our exec. So what do you reckon about this? He said, no chance, no way in the world. We'd already done up some of the designs, we bought costumes, we were gearing up because this was a winner. So of course, what did we do? We actually were really dejected to be honest. The whole team were, because we were thinking, this is actually a really good idea, this will work. So of course, a couple of weeks later, I called the group back together and I said, you know what? I've got an idea on how this can work. And they said, okay, what do you want to do? Go back and have another go at the exec? I said, no, I want to get another exec sponsor. So I did. I went and signed up another exec sponsor. I'd happened to be talking to them a week after he said no. And this exec sponsor was so enthralled and caught up with the whole idea about what we were doing, because we were engaging with all our heads of campus, with our deans, with our other execs, so that they knew what was coming. So it wouldn't have been a big surprise. And they got on board and he said, look, let me deal with the other exec. I'll take that over. I want to sponsor this. I can actually see your vision here, where you're going with this. So he jumped on board, and it opened a lot of bridges for us, or doors for us rather, and we progressed forward on that. So as you can see, this gives you an idea of the plan. The campaign for us ran through over 6 months, and there's some takeaways from that. If you're thinking you can do a campaign as a one-day event, or a one-week event, or a one-month event, you can't. You need to plan a long period of time, and it needs to have a schedule of work, and it needs to continue over that space. So create some media. We did posters, we did pull-up signs, we did mouse mats. So don't let me forget, I've brought 20 very rare and collectible CyberHero University CQU CyberHero mouse mats up here. You're more than welcome to them. They're not coming back to Rocky with me. I will be doing bag drops if I don't get rid of them from here. So as well as that, we took over the desktop fleet. It's one of the good things about being in the IT department. So all of our lock screens had CyberHeroes. We run that for about 3 months. So we continually got our CyberHero messages in front of people where they were, so that they got to see it. And look, we got very few comments about us bashing them, you know, with I must use good passwords, that kind of approach. It was in their face, and it was part of normal work for us. We also developed a information security awareness program. It's in Moodle. Moodle is a learning management system. A lot of schools and universities use it to put all their content in for higher ed and TAFE learnings. So they'll go and do their coursework within there, all their assessment, all that kind of thing. So that's what Moodle is. We've done one of those for our staff. To date, we've had just over 1,200 people complete this course in the last 6 months. We're thrilled about that. It's taken the same approach. It links into the CyberHeroes platform and story. It's actually very simple. It uses the same kind of simple approach. Of course, we produce movies as well, of course. Having so many movie buffs in the project team, there's no way we weren't doing that. We actually produced 5 or 6 movies. This is the promo.
In 2016, an elite group of cyber soldiers were put together to safeguard CQ University from online nasties. These soldiers promptly started scanning, shielding, encrypting, quarantining and firewalling to protect you. Today they survive as educators to the people on how they can do this themselves. If you have a cyber problem, if no one else can help, and if you can dial 59090, maybe you could hire the CyberHeroes.
So a couple of things about the CyberHero movies themselves. This wasn't a special project team that was pulled aside from away from their normal day-to-day jobs. We all did this as part of our day-to-day activities. We met regularly, we kept this running. The same thing with the CyberHeroes themselves. It was really about getting in and doing this around what our normal day activities were. So we actually used the resources and the skills that we had around the university. So we grabbed our media production people to help us out with this. They put that together. So we intentionally did this as a comedy approach and as a slapstick style. By all means, you can go and have a look at the rest of the movies. They are on YouTube. I won't go through all of those. I wouldn't put you through that. But they have a simple message at the end, and that was the thing that really resonated so well with our staff. So a couple of highlights from the campaign. These were things that we didn't plan to do, but happened along the way. The first picture there, the tall, handsome gentleman here on the your right-hand side is our VC. That's Scott Bowman. He has an awards program every year for staff awards. The CyberHeroes pulled out and won all the top-level awards that year in 2016 for the communication and the way that we've connected and engaged with people across the university. The next one was really quite surprised. CERT Australia had heard about what we were doing. I still, to this day, I don't know how. They contacted us a few times during the program to see how we developed that idea, how it was working, how it was resonating with staff. At the time, I didn't understand. I do now. The cybersecurity strategy that Malcolm Turnbull released earlier in 2016 had a line item in there about raising the awareness of the nation, cyber awareness of the nation. So they were curious to see what we'd done and how we were similar to us. They were a bunch of security guys and girls who were really worried about doing something different, and they were looking for some ideas. At the end of it, I was invited along to help launch the Stay Smart online campaign in Canberra. TV, media, all the whole thing. So I've never done that kind of thing before. That was a really interesting thing for me to get involved in. And of course, one of the things I did want to say, nothing's worth doing unless you can measure it. I've got a boss who always says measure everything so that we can actually see if we're making any results. You can see this is just phishing emails. You can see when we released, we're a little bit late. That's what happens when you work with creatives, that project plan, remember? We're a little bit late. We launched early May, end of April, May time. But you can see almost immediately we saw a tail off in the amount of risks that we were seeing. Bounced up again right at the end of the year. The program wrapped up with what would a cyber awareness program be without a Christmas rap song, right? If we've got time at the end, I'll show you that. That's worth a laugh. So I'll just get to some take-home messages so that we can... These are the things that we learned. These are the things, if you walk out of here and you've got nothing else, these are the things that I would encourage you to take up. Be creative. Find the most creative people you can. Get outside of your spaces. Get across your organisation. You have some very creative and different thinking people out there. Make it relevant and personal. We were very focused on not making this about work practices and how people would be at work. We made it about people at home in their own personal lives and how it could improve and advance their own personal security, online security, their families' online security with their kids. We answered a lot of those questions, and we were banking that that would translate into better performance at work, and it did for us. Collaborate widely, talk to a lot of people, get a lot of the leadership team on, give them early notice about what you're doing, keep them involved, keep them included. So when it does hit the ground and people within the teams and the structures are saying, what's this all about? You've got people on the ground who actually know what it's all about, and they can actually support you without you being there. Make IT culture a part of the organisation. If you get input into the organisation, that can be the real difference. That human firewall, that original vision that we had, this is a way to engage and connect with people on that space. So that's me done. Are there any questions? Look, you're funny you should say that. My wife is a principal of a primary school, and she has been lobbying me for about 6 months to bring them over to the school. We get so many requests to bring the CyberHeroes and do apparently Queensland Police are not that entertaining when it comes to talking about online cybersecurity. So they think this would be really well taken. So, but I can't get the CyberHeroes to do it. That's the problem I have.
Thanks, Peter. Great presentation. Peter Marshall from QUT. I'm just interested in linking the previous presentation with this one for those who are in here in relation to what you're able to do around encouraging people to understand what data they've got, how important is it, or how much of that is an asset for the university, and how does that flow into this program? Because a lot of the things that you've shown us are technical responses to that, and the information management and data management challenge is a big one for a lot of people. How did you address that?
Look, I think it is, and you know, getting a little bit off topic, one of the things you really need to make sure you have done is a really good information classification process. It's not good enough just to have a policy. Fortunately, we don't. We actually have an asset information register. We have a data handling and a data handling guide. Certainly some of the things that am I happy with, oops, sorry about that, am I happy with in terms of things like Dropbox and data loss, it's not something we can prevent yet. We, frankly, as much as I hate to say this, we need probably a larger profile case for us to make some real changes there. I would suspect, though, those things are changing. Our board is definitely a lot more interested. They've recognised that one of the top 10 criteria for a council is now about cybersecurity. So they hear from us regularly. They invite us to come along and keep them up to date with what we're going. We have an opportunity that we have now, partly due to this program and the success of this program, that gives us a lot more credibility with the board.
Hi there. I guess my question is, obviously this campaign's still fairly new. Do you have concerns about getting burnout and then having to sort of reimagine the campaign again?
Absolutely, I'm already there. I am burnt out. This was a lot of work. Don't underestimate how much work this was. As I said, we did this all on top of our normal daily jobs. My boss we have a new CIO now, and he's talking to me about, okay, what's next? What are we doing next? And let's face it, we all know the sequels are never as good as the originals, right? So I'm really struggling. I'm back to that, okay, I'm looking for an idea. We will definitely keep the media, all the attributes, all the artifacts that we've created and developed with this. We will take it a step further. I'm thinking of going back to animated GIFs again. We can certainly convert these people very easily into that. But that'll be a 2018 plan that we're kind of working on now. What we might do then is, since there's no more questions, here's our Christmas rap song.
CyberHeroes. Stopping the stealing of your identity, and we're damn good too. But you can't be any IT geek. You gotta be handy with the keys, if you know what I mean. CyberHeroes! Log in! Log in.
With the threat detected with violence.
Like the dark where you're protectors. You just won't believe how many threats you scanned. Yo, here's a hint, it's over 9,000. So many threats every single day. We can't take a break, yo, we're here to stay.
We're here to keep you safe from viruses and scams.
Vicious crypto lockers, don't forget the spam. Make sure that you play it safe. Change your password, it won't wait. Check your details, don't be late. The Christmas break is here. We know that you want to run. Join your family, have some fun. Just don't forget our mission to keep your data safe. As you hear this rhyme adapt, there's potential still untapped. Not just your gifts been wrapped, the CyberHeroes got skill. Yes, this rhyme may seem absurd. You probably think that we're disturbed. Don't believe what you have heard, we're actually quite nice.
It's a very soft Christmas, yo.
CyberHeroes gonna make sure you ain't a Christmas zero. Sweet Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Thank you, Peter, for a very, very cool talk.
My pleasure.
Once more, thank you.